Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break and New User Friday. I'm your host, Finelli. We have a couple new people here today, Daniela and John. And we have the regular team showing up here, the clan that we call them. What do we call them? The Misfits, the Misfits of Luminar. So we have our group here. And what we're going to do, because we have two new people who are experienced with Luminar already, Luminar 4, I'm just going to quickly go through, the templates and a few other things they were asking us to look at. So I'll share my screen, and as always, Carl is here to help you guys. So if you have any questions or chats, put those in the chat or in the question box, and we'll get to it as soon as we can. So here we are, New User Friday, and what you'll learn today. Installing and activating, I'll bomb through that quick. Opening images in Luminar AI. Quick edits with templates, that's what Daniela is going to be looking at. Custom edits with Luminar tools, which, John, that's where we'll talk about the sky replacement. Quick batch processing, using Luminar AI as a plugin, and then, of course, exporting for social media, print, and email. Now, with that being said, John, are you using as a plugin or as a standalone?
Standalone.
Okay, gotcha. And what about you, Daniela?
When I edit with Luminar, either 4 or whichever one, I use it as a standalone as well.
Gotcha. All right. So installing, you guys already have done it already. Just keep in mind, especially when Neo comes out, log into your Skylum account, but make sure you use the correct username and password, whatever one you signed up with, because when you do that, then Luminar, you don't have to type in that long code anymore. So you still have access to it, but this will give you an easier way to install and run Luminar AI. So, but again, if you're ever having problems, make sure you have the right email address when you're logging in. All right. Now, quickly opening images. Let me get into my. Here we go. There are several ways to open. We've talked about this. Now, again, Carl comes over to my house, brings out his thumb drive. He wants to show off his brand new, what was it? You just shot, Carl, the Devil's Loop? No, the Arch. Yes. So he wants to show off his images. I love Carl, but I don't want him on my computer. So instead, I hit Add Image, and then from here, I could just browse, whether you're in Windows Explorer, or if you're, here's Phil, if you're in Windows Explorer, or if you're in the Mac version of Finder, I can come right down here, and I have it right here. So here's my external SD card that I have here. I can look, and then just pull up one of these images here, and now it comes in, and when it does, it'll be saved as a single image edit. All right, I was going to my dad. So if I'm done with it, you know what? Bye, Erica. Right click, and I can remove from image edits. So instead of having Carl's images on my machine, I was able to just edit it, do whatever I want to it, and then when we're done, export it for him, and then remove it out of my scene, so I don't have to worry about having other people's photos on my computer. All right. Then if I do want to keep a whole folder of images, I can add an entire folder of images. But just remember, when we do this, I love this feature. You have to decide if it's something you like or not. I'll use Erica again as an example. Actually, you know what? We'll use Ariel. So if I double click on Ariel here, then that means that all of these subfolders are going to be included inside Luminar. Well, if you don't want all of these images included, then you would just double click on the folder and just select one. And if I select just one, then only that folder will appear. Now, pros and cons, why would I want to have an entire folder of images? Well, this way, if I add to this here, so let's do this, show and explore. So here we are in this here. Now, this folder is inside Luminar AI. If I right click on it, and actually just open it, and then I right click, and let's say I create a new folder called complete. And just for the sake of this for now, I'm going to copy one of these, paste it. And let's say, I have one image in that complete folder. Well, now when I come back into Luminar, notice what just happened. It added that complete for us. So no longer are you going to be worried about losing or any of your images. So if you want the main folder here, if you want to include subfolders, that'll give you a great way of making sure that when you add more images or folders to this subfolder, all of them will appear inside Luminar. All right? So any questions so far, Carl?
Yes, in the Q&A, John Wells would like to know about the differences between using Luminar AI as a plugin versus a standalone. I think you'll get to that a little bit later in your presentation.
And plugins, perfect.
Right. And then I have Angela running it down. Do you know if we have a retired military discount?
Yes. Yes, we do.
I know we have an active military, but you're sure there's also a DD-14?
Yeah, it should be under military discount.
Okay. All right. And Vince, Angela, our wonderful co-host who is often here, is running it down for me live to make sure I get you the right link.
Perfect. Thank you. And thanks, Angela. We just had 2 meetings early this morning. All right, so here's our templates. So I know Luminar 4, there were plugins and looks. Okay. So keep in mind, when you, and John and Daniela double check this, when you installed Luminar AI, okay, it should have brought over under here, my templates. I'm sorry, legacy, that's it. It should have brought over the legacy ones. So look under legacy. I'm gonna double click on it. There we go. So all of these were ones I created in Luminar 4. All right. So, and they're going to work extremely similar. But let's say, when do we take out, no, I'm trying to think. The old Lightroom has it. Instead of sharpening, what's it called, Carl?
In Lightroom or in Luminar?
In Lightroom. Instead of
I don't use Lightroom, remember?
Neither do I.
I do cheat.
Oh man, I forgot what it is. But anyways, we took it out, and I was so upset. But then we brought in Structure AI, and that made a totally difference. I was like, oh wow, because the other tool actually changes the color of the image just to make it look sharper. And I was like, oh wow, okay. So I just reorganized my workflow. So I know that some of my sports grit look use that. So what ended up happening now is, let's say if we used Wild West. I don't think, if I have a single image. Okay, I do. Okay, so here we are here. I'm going to revert it to the original. Give it a second. There it is. So this is the original image that came out of the camera. Well, instead of using looks now, or quote presets, you could go into your legacy templates and look for one. And let's say, I'm sure I either called it Cowboy or there's so many of them. Let's see. And I wish there was a quicker way to be able to do this for everyone, but it's not. So let's see. Do you see Cowboy at all, or Wild West?
Not yet.
Here it is, Wild West.
There you go.
All right, let's see what that does. Oh, that's too wild. It doesn't look like a West. So let's go with grunge 2. Nope. And let me do one more. Okay, so here's faded. And I'm going to dial back. This right here is a strength slider for for the entire preset or look we just created. That's what this is. So there we go. All right. So I know that somewhere in here, I created a cowboy one, but it's not going to look identical to the one that you created already. It's going to be very, very close. So that's when you would come over here to edit. And then just like in other versions, if you see a star, it's rendering, you can tell it's rendering up here. You'll see a star or a little dot next to the name. And then that's going to tell you that that tool was added to this ingredient to make it look the way it did. And then I can still adjust it if I want. So you look at templates like you did with looks and presets is either a starting point or you just dive right in. So
May I ask a question?
yes.
Okay. With the Luminar 4 presets, either the ones we bought or even the ones we created, there were several versions. Let's say Luminar presets for fall beauty, just as an example. And then you could find 6 or 7 different presets.
Yep.
According to the fall subject.
All right, I'll show you that right now. Yeah, so right now we dealt with our own template or quote look. So here's an example, right? Or if I used, now this is what's really cool with Luminar AI, it gives you a suggestion based on this image. Over here, it gives you a suggestion on which of these may look pretty good for this particular image. So it knows that there's a person in this image. It knows that this can look pretty cool. Let's say as an old time photo or a quick, so you see what just happened? So I clicked on that and now I have choices here. So similar to what the looks were on the bottom, now they have it all down. Oh, there's nostalgic. So that's based off of some of my sport grit looks. So look at that. So, and I just, boom, I found it before, after. So it's kind of cool. Here I'm thinking, oh, wow, Carl, it read my mind, but I forgot we're the ones who submitted these photos. So you would think it basically read my mind going, oh, wow, so yeah, this will look pretty cool with a nostalgic haze to it. Now, I think the grain's a little bit too much. So I would go into edit, and now I have complete control. So let's say I come over to edit, and I want to come down to film grain. Sure enough, it had film grain. I want to reset it because I don't want film grain on there. Let's go to dramatic and maybe add a little more dramatic or drama to look at that. Now, ready for this, Daniela? So I got what I like. This looks great. Remember, we started with nostalgic haze. Now, if I click on these 3 dots, now I can save it as my own template. Much like what we did with looks. You make an adjustment to a look, now you can save it as one of your own. And if I click on templates, I'm going to browse to my templates, and there it is. Now, what I like to do, and again, it's entirely up to you, I'll rename it because template edit doesn't mean anything to me. I know I use nostalgic haze, so I'm going to just put haze version 2. So now I know where the base was from. You could totally change to whatever you want, but that now I know that, oh wow, I started out with nostalgic haze, and then I created my own template based on it. All right. Now, where are those templates stored? Well, if I click on these elliptic tool again, I can show it in Explorer or show it in Finder. And once that comes up, here they are. So here's here's templates, user, purchase, legacy. So where is it? Well, on Windows, it's users, it's under my user folder, app data, roaming, Luminar AI, data, boom, there's my templates. The easiest way to find it, right click on it and just say, hey, locate my templates folder. Now, why is this important? What I like to do, Control or Command A, select all, right click, copy, and now put that on my backup drive. So just in case, if I have a computer crash, whatever happens, all I need to do now is just reinstall Luminar AI, and here they are. Or I can install Luminar AI on another machine, as long as it's Windows to Windows or Mac to Mac. Install Luminar AI again on another machine, drag and drop these into these folders, and now I'll have those, other than the purchase ones, I believe. I'm not sure if purchase will work, Carl. I know users and legacy will. I'm going to try purchase next time. But now I'll have the same identical templates on my second computer. All right?
So you cannot transform your older LUTs. Let's say I am in this kind of folder, same as you. I use Mac, but it's the same.
Yep.
So if I go to my legacy folder and I want to add the looks, the previous looks, the ones of Luminar 4,
Yep.
can I add them right there?
It should have done that automatically for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so it should have automatically found it for you. And if it didn't, my suggestion would be, now keep in mind, you can uninstall Luminar all day long. I mean, just think of Luminar AI as the old like Microsoft Word. You can install Microsoft Word and then go on another computer, install Microsoft Word again, but just make sure you bring your images over, and now you're set. So you can uninstall Luminar AI, reinstall it, and it should automatically do the transfer for you. Now, we're fortunate because with Neo, they're building in a migration tool, but it won't be ready for the next quarter.
Excellent.
They streamlined it ahead of time. All right?
Oh, wow, because I just installed, I have a problem with my machine in Mac. They broke it, and so I have to use an older Mac, and I installed again Luminar 4. So lucky for me, I have all those presets saved in a backup drive.
Perfect. But
upon just reinstalling Luminar 4, all those presets never showed up.
Yeah.
So I have to manually, put them again in Luminar 4.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Yeah, so in Luminar AI, when it transfers, it should automatically transfer it over. If it doesn't, then reach out to support@skylum.com.
Okay.
All
Thank you very much.
So that's templates. Does anybody else have any questions about templates?
Yes, Michael. Go ahead.
Not specific about templates, but I'm a Luminar whatever X membership thing, and I get free stuff. But when I go into the template folder or template marketplace and click ones that are included, it always wants me to buy them for $19. How do I get them as part of my membership?
Yeah, it's a good question. It shouldn't. If you're part of the members, and it'll tell you, hey, these are the ones that are free that are included with your membership.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now.
So typically I go to the skylum.com website, and then I'm logged in there, and then I click on my icon. It'll show your membership for Luminar X, I believe, and you'll find them under there. Unfortunately, I just signed out.
I'm on a screen in my account. It says click here for included with Luminar X membership. And there's
hang on.
I don't know,
how long have you been a member?
A couple weeks, maybe.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so they come out once a month, so you may not have them yet. They don't come in a big bunch. They roll them out one sky, one template pack per
Well,
month.
but there's a bunch here, and they say included
And that's fine.
little X, and it says included with Luminar X. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to. If I click add to cart, it's going to charge me.
Yeah. So if I'm not
No,
mistaken, so what happens, I thought, is like if you start today, right? All the other ones are the ones from this point on are included, Carl.
yes,
You know what?
yeah. How they roll out is a mystery to me, truth be known. Whether they start everybody with pack number 1, regardless of when you join, or if this is April, therefore you get the April ones. I'm not sure how they roll them.
There are 8 that says they're included with my membership, 8 packs.
Gotcha.
But I only have an add to cart and learn more. I don't have to
So
download it.
can I share my screen, Benelli?
Yeah.
If you're,
So
are you
I
done with
stopped
your
sharing
presentation first? Should
No,
we
it's okay. I
stop
stopped
recording or
sharing
keep
mine.
Okay, so share screen, share edge, share. I'm doing this because I have a massive screen. So do you see this, John? My screen?
Yep, we see it.
Okay, so this is me. This is my Luminar X. By the way,
Right.
I'm not a Skylum employee, so this is my personal. I do these. Now, this is what I see, what's new for me in the last month, and I have these little download buttons. Is this what you're seeing, or you're seeing something completely different?
No, I'm seeing when I go to, let's see, where was I? I just was there.
And you're in your Luminar X.
I'm in my
Go to
Luminar.
Marketplace.
It says my account, and I go to Luminar X membership.
Okay, my account,
Then I
Luminar
get-
X. This
Then
is
I
mine.
get my add-ons, is that it?
Yeah.
No,
How about you do this? Let him share his screen.
Okay, stop sharing.
I-
You have to
I-
enable him to do so.
Yeah.
No, you know, here it says what's new. I see what's new now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, you should expect a pack per month, John. And again, typically it's a template and a sky. Of course, there's some free courses there that are, can be very helpful if you're a budding photographer or wishing to get into an area you're not familiar with.
Okay, if I go to Marketplace,
Mhm.
no, if I go to Marketplace.
Yeah, if you go to Marketplace, then you'll buy them.
No, but it says included with, there's a checkoff, included with Luminar X. And
Yeah,
then
But
so
they don't give them to you in a big bundle when you first buy it. They really, honest to gosh, will roll them out. The reason they do that is they don't want you purchasing a pack that you're going to get in a few months. So they're warning you, don't buy this one. It will be coming for free. Now, what happens if you did purchase one and then it comes up in your Luminar X membership? You can always contact support and say, hey, I already bought that one, and they will make it right for you. They will allow you to download something else. But yeah, they're just warning you.
Take a note on this, Carl, because that's a good question. We'll ask marketing what the criteria is. So the next time somebody asks us this question, we'll know the answer.
Yeah, because I've got a bunch here. Got one called Uplifting Sunlight. That's the first one. And there's an X. And if you hover there, it says included with Luminar X membership. So to me, it's included.
No, I see your confusion. I understand your confusion. And it is confusing. But what they're trying to do is to tell you not to buy that one because it will be coming as a part of your membership within the coming year.
So if I want it, I have to buy it.
If you want it today and you want to use it today, you would have to buy it. But then you can send a note to support saying, hey, I need this now. Why don't you do this instead? Why don't you email support@skylum.com and say, hey, I really need this pack now, but I see it's going to be coming in my membership. Is there a way for me to get it early? And see what they tell you.
Okay. Well, then I
sent you my email address, but keep in mind, it's 8:30 Kiev time. So I'm pretty sure they're gone for the day.
Yeah.
Just check back in with me by Monday if we didn't find the answer.
I would highly recommend that you change the screen with the checkoff block that says include with Luminar X membership coming soon.
Yes.
Or included in your free for you. You know what I mean? I don't know, but that's something
Yeah,
we'll
well,
talk to marketing.
we'll broach that with marketing and say, hey, you know, not the first time we've heard some confusion over this.
Okay.
Then Michael Aldridge asks if Luminar 4 looks did not migrate to the AI legacy folder automatically, is there a way to do it manually?
Yeah, and as I said, uninstall Luminar AI and reinstall it, but make sure that Luminar 4 is on your machine with all those, with all those old looks to them.
I don't know if copying, Michael, I don't know if copying them over to the Luminar AI looks folder will cause Luminar AI to convert them when it first opens them. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Yeah. So, but we'll double check on that again. But like I said, I was told just uninstall Luminar AI, reinstall it, and it'll bring it over.
It'll rerun the script.
Yep. Now on to the real quick tools. All right, landscape and travel. You know, we have tools for sky, atmosphere, structure replaced. Phil, check out. Is Phil still here? I can't see Phil. I forgot the name of it. It was yeah. So Phil, if you have time, I'm going to unmute you. Could you check out in Lightroom what it was called? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
What did you need, Vanelli? I'm sorry.
Instead of sharpening in Lightroom.
Unsharp mask? Is that what you're thinking of? No.
No, it's not. You want, there's a texture slider.
Nope, keep going.
You mean clarity? You
Yes.
mean clarity in Lightroom?
Clarity. That's it. Thank you. Oh,
Clarity.
Daniela for the win.
Which
Phil
one? Which
0
one did she
and
say?
Yellow 1. So yes,
0, 1.
clarity. So clarity, when they removed it,
Oh, okay.
killed my sports grit look. But then notice the dramatic look, the dramatic tool that they added, and basically said, Vanelli, you dummy, look, we're making this for you. Boom! And that one tool did everything that it took like 7 or 8 tools in Lightroom took to create this. So I find that when the engineers take away something, they replace it with something that's even better. So anyways, so these are the tools for landscape photographers. And I know John was talking about sky with reflections, which we'll go through that in a moment. And then for people portraits, I know I grabbed a lot of you kicking and screaming into portrait photography, and thank you for doing that, because you pulled me kicking and screaming into landscapes. So there's a ton of tools to make your life so much easier when you're dealing with portraits. And we'll skip that. Here we go. So Luminar AI, you know what? Here I'm talking about Lightroom. I should have just ran it. So Luminar AI is a plugin. Now, Harrington just confirmed again today, if you're using Lightroom like I did, strictly as a digital asset manager, that's the only thing I used it for. I didn't edit it, I didn't do anything with it. That there's 2 workarounds we can do with it, all right? But if you're gonna go inside, if you love Lightroom and you wanna stay with the Lightroom workflow, let me show you what we can do. Give it a second. There we go, and Control D to deselect. There we go. Deselect all, there we go. So I always did this. I'd always right click, and here it is, low system resources, Carl. Edit in Luminar AI or Photoshop. You know, that's how I normally would do it. And when you would do it, it would ask you, well, how do you want to edit it? And notice it didn't give me the option to accept edit original. So a better way of doing it, if you're not processing it, the raw engine inside Lightroom, File, Export, and up here, Export to Luminar AI, and export the original. Now I'm going to click on it, and this faster Luminar AI just And the reason for that is that Lightroom doesn't have to do any manipulation. So in other words, Lightroom didn't create a JPEG or a TIFF. It just handed the file off to Luminar AI. Now I can come over here, click edit. And if I go to the light tool, which is the raw converter, give it a second. And notice I'm running the plugin version and the standalone version at the same time. You can do that. And as you can see, I mean, I have all these bells and whistles going off on my computer telling my system resources are low. But notice right here, now I have access to the raw files. All right. So I can access this as a raw file, not as a JPEG. So for the answer, who asked about the plugin?
That would have been John Wells up at the beginning, yeah, of the Q&A.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so John, so that if you want to use it as a Lightroom plugin, then export it into this here and you're good to go, all right? If you're using it as a Photoshop plugin, the suggestion would be right-click and convert it to a smart object. Now, why is that important? Well, now that I'll be able to re-edit in Photoshop this image. If it's a smart object, this becomes a smart filter. Now I'm able to re-edit if I make a mistake or whatever. Unfortunately, with Lightroom, because both are parametric editors, any changes I make here, the moment I hit apply, it'll export this, bring it back into Lightroom. And let me show you a little trick I showed one of my my assistant. I showed him yesterday. Let's see. He kept calling me up saying, oh my God, every time I go to Luminar and it brings it back, it doesn't put it in the exact same order. Well, the reason why I didn't put it in the exact same order is under sort, he had to sort by capture time. So of course, now that it's a brand new file, the capture time is not going to be the same. So make sure that that's set to file name. And when it's set to file name, if you notice, it's Luminar AI edit TIFF. And look at the number, 261, and there's 261 raw. So we'll put it right next to each other. All right? Oh, I do that all the time. There. It's G for grid. So I'm going to close out of that for a moment. So that's how we're going to use Luminar AI as a plugin for Lightroom or for Photoshop. And also for those that are doing photos for Mac. And then now Windows 11. So for us Windows people, think finally we have access to Windows 11, like how Photos for Mac is. We could use photos in Windows natively inside Windows 11. All right. And let me just get to that for one moment. But before, this is the resources, everyone. But let me dive in over to Luminar real quick and landscapes. So I'm going to make this real quick. There we go. All right. We'll use this one. Oh man, I want to tell you something. Phil, notice what I'm doing, Phil.
I see.
Well, no, you guys know. So for those of that Luminar 5, if you updated Luminar 5 update, did everyone receive that yet or Monday?
Luminar AI Update 5.
Update
Clear.
5. So update 5, now under the landscape. Wait, we did do pre-release, right, Carl?
It's in soft roll. I haven't seen it yet. I
Okay,
checked
good.
this morning, but it's
So-
Yeah, I did
slowly
not see
rolling
it
out.
either.
Gotcha.
It's not, yeah. It'll probably happen in parts of Europe, Eastern Europe and Australia first is usually how it goes.
Okay, so the new one of the neat updates that it just did, which is pretty cool. Let me see. Is you see how we have suggestions up here, right? Well, now when you come over to the sky, AI sky, they continue to make the AI sky even better. So here is going to give you suggestions. It'll say, based on, and thank God, because I am horrible at picking out skies. I mean, you guys are going to laugh at me again. I have a tendency of going to number 4 or number 5.
Oh,
And-
number
and I-
6. Number 6, the winner.
Number 6. Yeah,
Yeah, I use
those
that.
3. Look at
I
that.
use that all the time.
You know what I mean? I just think it's funny. I showed Scott Kelby that, and he goes, "Oh my God, I've never gone past 4. Wow, 5 is pretty cool. 6 is pretty cool." If I'm not mistaken, Dima took these. Our the founder of the company and the brains behind all of this. He's the one who did these. But look at this, and then let me go back up here for a minute. It's going to actually tell you, "Hey, try this sky instead." There we go. All right. Now, since we can't be with you 24/7, or can we? Click on help, come right down here to user guide, and there we go. And under here, let's type in sky or AI sky or sky replacement. And here it is, the AI sky tool. So John, when you're by yourself, you could just click on this, and not only does it explain to you what it's doing, down here it gives you the exact, whatever the tools are, it shows you right here what the tools are doing. Gap is, so how to fix my sky orientation, you can click on a video. If you want to do mask refinement, close gaps, this slider fixes the small details and holes that were not initially filled by the replace AI. You can come down further. How do I unify a scene with relighting? And then how do I create amazing sky reflections? So you have lots of tutorials already built in. Oh, okay, there we go. So you already have all of them built in, even on how to organize your skies. So the user manual, before you go to YouTube, hit the user manual, check it here first. If you don't get your answer here, then make sure, where's to ask questions?
I have one question regarding skies.
Yep.
Can you use PNG files or only JPG?
Carl, do we add PNG support?
PNG is supported.
Thank you, because I have several skies of my own, but
Right.
they are
Perfect.
only PNG.
Yep.
Thank you.
And here you could post your feedback or your comments on this topic. So if you didn't find what you're looking for, you could actually add it to this list, and then we review them, or I review them, and try to make adjustments the best that we can. All right.
Yep.
So did that help you, John?
I've been working on it for the last 2 days, so I figured most of it out.
Perfect.
The only thing I can't fix is if there's not quite enough sky for AI to see the sky, it won't work.
Yeah, that's normal on
Yeah.
that.
So I have another program that I use for that.
Gotcha. All right.
Oh, hey,
So again, here's all the system resources that you guys can use. If you're new to it, right here inside Luminar.tips coffee break, that's huge, because you can find 600 videos we did on these topics. And if you're not part of the Insiders program yet, it's free. Insiders.skylum.com. If you go to that right there, you just sign up for free, register for free. And inside there, you'll have access to all of us, to where you just ask questions, post your images, and think of it as what Facebook should be without all the political garbage, without the mask wearing mandate. It's fun. People are not at each other's throats. They're there to help people. All right. So, all right, Phil, I know I promised you something special today. I apologize.
Okay.
It wasn't
Vanelli,
bait.
Vanelli, in my book, you can't do anything wrong.
Oh, thank you. Well, in fact, I'm going to end this. We'll end this and we'll get into Ask Me Anything. All right. So stick around, everyone. All right. So let me stop sharing the screen. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this New User Friday. And I'll see you at the next coffee break.
Thank you very much.